Hey, and welcome to another episode of Late TV Fights. We've finally got around to the final matchup, which has been a revolving door of competitors. It was originally going to be Sandy Robinson versus Alec Miller, but then both of them dropped out. So we've now got Cody versus Richard Schwartz. But before I go to the competitors, we'll hear from the panel of judges. I've got Ryan here. Ryan, how's it going, and what do you think about this match?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you very much for having me. This should be a good match, even though we've had a rotating door, as you pointed out earlier. It should be interesting no matter what. And who knows? Maybe it'll even be entertaining. Only time is going to tell. Let's get it going.
And our other judge is Doug Castle. Doug, how's it going?
Listen, I was told that this was the Boy Meets World AMA. Am I in the wrong location? No, I'm doing good. I'm excited. Yeah, let's see this whole thing. I'm excited to be here first person and not watching this over YouTube. It's gonna be fun.
And let's go to our competitors. Introducing first, he is the movie Battlegrounds champion. He's the Marvel Battleground champion, Cody Newberry. Cody, how's it going?
Hi, long-time listener, first-time caller. Excited to be here. Excited. Hope I do well. I'm actually wishing this was the Boy Meets World AMA because I'd be more on board with that. I was hoping that a Boy Meets World question would come up, but we got these, so this should be an interesting fight. I didn't get picked by this. The things that these hosts and admins use to pick competitors. We get hats, we get wheels. All of them hate me. I have to wait until somebody just decides the debate is not for them, that they're not in the right headspace, and then I get to come in. So this is gonna be fun, hopefully. But Richard's probably gonna KO me. And does this count for records?
Yes.
It does? Okay, then I'm going to ask you to unair this if he does beat me because I'm still undefeated and I was just doing something nice. So this shouldn't count against my overall. Subrath, Matt, you know the rules. Like, make it disappear. Thank you.
And next up, we've got Richard Schwartz. Richard, how's it going?
It's going. Kind of like same way to Cody. I'm not very good at getting picked from things when it comes to hats or wheels, unless it's kind of like the negative side to that. Cody's a beast when it comes to debate. I wasn't sure if he's being sarcastic when he's saying that I might KO him. He's a good competitor. I'm going to do my best. I like the choices I picked. I kind of like the choices he picked, so it's going to be a fun, nice match. I'm generally I got to learn not to be as nice as I am because Cody's, not so nice when it comes to debating, so he might bully me to submission. Who knows? Let's have some fun with this.
Now, how the matches work is we've got 4 prepared round questions and a speed round if we need it. They'll get a 90-second opening, a 5-minute free-form debate, and a 1-minute closing. And they have one extension that they can use on either their opening or closing should they need more time for that. But we'll kick this off for the first question, which is, what classic 80s sitcom should get a revival series? And it must have at least started in the 80s. And I'm going to go to Cody first on this. You've got 90 seconds on the clock. It will begin when you start talking.
Ryan, Malcolm, Douglas, I want to thank you for being a friend. I want you to travel down the road and back again. I'm going with the Golden Girls, okay? The Golden Girls is a fantastic comedy that was pretty much before its time. It literally talked about some topics that were not popular in the 80s, were not able to be talked about. And now we have this Hollywood A-list that is moving up in age that you can actually move them into the Golden Girls and touch on those topics that were a little bit too cliche to talk about. Golden Girls was a classic comedy that had so many funny elements. They literally called each other sluts, and they just went back and forth. And Dorothy's mom lived there. There's so much things you can touch on this with this new age, and you don't have to have a lot. It could just air on normal TV and have a blast with it. So I think the Golden Girls need to come back. It's too good to not try it again.
You yielding the rest of your time there, Cody?
Correct.
Now, Richard, you've got 9 seconds on the clock. Time will begin when you start talking.
What is a TV revival? It's a TV series that returns to produce new episodes after being taken off the air for a certain amount of time, usually due to cancellation. It usually brings back characters, plot, and storylines from the original show, and also introduce new characters that will maintain the same genre and also improve on the same genre as the original TV series. I chosen Small Wonder. It ran from 1985 to 1989, had 4 seasons. It was about a family, Ted Lawson's family, who created a robot a female robot to help with handicapped children initially, brings it home, and decides to interact with the family so that robot, Vicky, could grow and learn more to become more human. It also interacts importance family. It was very hysterical, and I will continue to argue this when it comes out in the fight.
All right, so we've got the very interesting debate here. You've got 5 minutes on the clock. Your freeform debate will begin when someone starts talking.
Okay, so I'm just going to open it up real quick. Small Wonder's creepy as hell. No offense. Creepy as hell. A grown man creates a baby doll, and it's now supposed to help. Regardless what the thing is, they introduce it as a family member, and it's in there, and every time it's supposed to have these quirky little funny comedy moments, but they just come off creepy. Adapting it now just doesn't seem like it would work in the right headspace, because it's creepy. The comedy level doesn't live up. I just don't see where you go with that, and if you want to bring back great characters, that's fine and all if you want to do that, but my whole thing is it's a revival. You can just introduce a new age of characters, like they could be the family of that group. So I don't understand why Small Wonder would be that great. It only ran for 4 seasons. It's not that great of a show to bring back.
It was a good show. It was just in an awful time slot. 4 seasons, that is still pretty good. Whereas your show, Golden Girls, it was a great show. I will give you that. However, 3/4 of the Golden Girls are no longer with us, and this show's not going to work with only Betty White. And Betty White is in her 90s, and she's not the same person she was when the original Golden Girls came out. And also, Golden Girls had 7 strong seasons. They tried to have a spin-off series called The Golden Palace, where 3 out of the 4 Golden Girls came back. It only lasted a season. It did not work. As much as the Golden Girls were good, it's just still, it's not the demographic most people are going to watch.
Well, okay, so let me stop there. Betty White was just on a prank show not too long ago, pranking people. So don't tell me that she can't sit in a chair and be the mother figure of the new Golden Girls. That's a perfect way to tie in. Wonder Years, you're just going to bring a scientist that brings home a child to bring into the family and introduce them as a part of the family. That's not funny. That is creepy in 2019. That's stranger danger if I've ever heard one. The overall robotic voice that the little girl does is very weird. Can you name one giant actress or actor that you're bringing back from your show? Just because they did a spinoff called Golden Palace, that's one thing. I'm talking about a revival of the Golden Girls. The same age, the same show, just with new characters. We have Hollywood that is aging, and it's a perfect time to integrate them into the show. You can pick 4 strong female ladies that could run it. We'll have so many comedic elements back and forth with each other, and Betty White could be the mom in the show.
What you're pitching really isn't a revival in a sense. It's basically a reboot. There has been no revival when just one of the main characters. There has not been a revival show where they only had one of the main characters come back from the original show. Can you name me one revival show that's had only one of the original characters come back?
I'm not here to argue semantics. The judges accepted it, so you have to debate it. Thank you.
No, I can judge semantics all you want. They may have accepted it, but I'm bringing up the point that Betty White, as great as she is, cannot hold the show and bring in 4 introduce, and if you want to watch a Golden Girl type show, you watch the Golden Girls. Small Wonder, You can bring back majority of my main cast are still alive. You can bring it back. You can
Who are
bring
you
back.
bringing back? Who are you bringing back that stands today that would sell a show? Name one. Oh, you're looking at a cast list because you can't even name them offhand. That's a problem with your show. You're just going to pick a show that didn't run that well, and you're going to pick a cast list that you can read that are still alive. I'm sorry that my cast was old and died, but guess what? Now they can have a spinoff of the siblings. You can base it on their moms. They had kids and they moved on.
That's not Golden Girls. That's just Golden Girl. That's not the point of the show. It is a revival. Just because I don't remember the names at hand does not mean they're not validation. They were still good. They just had a Small Wonder reunion just not a few years ago.
Pick Betty White, but you couldn't pick yours. Just saying. You know one of my characters that's still alive and kicking that could be in the show, but you
Richard Christie. He's very good at television.
Looked it up. Okay, I'm saying you're having a creepy child. It doesn't age in this
Okay,
way.
You're just only attacking the creepy child thing. That was the past. It's the future. It could be the mother-daughter relationship. The brother of Vicky creates a daughter for Vicky to have a mother-daughter. It's family. People are engaged in the show. And sorry, we have creepy shows all the fucking time in this generations of shows. Stranger Things is creepy as fuck, but people love that show.
But that's not a sitcom.
It can be an absolute sitcom. Vampire Diaries is a creepy as hell show.
That's okay.
Arrow. Okay, I'm naming shows.
Richard, you're naming shows out there, but I'm sorry. But if you're saying Small Wonders is the next Arrow or the next Stranger Things, I'm sorry, but you're incorrect. This is just a scientist that brings home. It's basically Flubber with a child. It doesn't work. She picks up a bed. She has overly strength. It doesn't work in this technology. You're going to get... Okay.
Whew. That got heated really fast. Now we go to the closings, and because Cody started off the openings, Richard, you're going to start off the closings. 1 minute is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
Look, if this was 15, 20 years ago, I would say absolutely bring back the Golden Girls for a revival show. But the time has passed for Golden Girls to have a revival show. There's only 3/4 of the original Golden Girls are gone. Betty White, as fun as she is, cannot hold a show. There's no point. No viewers are only going to watch Betty White and some new people act in a show. Storylines, you didn't mention any of your storylines which you would bring back from the original show, which would be considered for the revival. All the conflicts and resolutions from the original Golden Girls were solved in the original series. They tried to bring back Golden Girls with Golden Palace. It failed in one season. Small Wonder, you're just bringing up the fact that it was a dude created a creepy child. That was back then, and it was in the 80s. It wasn't that creepy if you watch the show. My show not only will bring back most of the actors are still alive. It will bring back original characters. It will get new people to watch the original Small Wonder, have a new, better appreciation for Small Wonder.
All right. Cody, 1 minute is on the clock. Wrap it up into a nice bow.
So I think we're really confused on what the topic is. I'm just bringing back a show that I think would be great revived in the age, and I think Golden Girls would be it. You can play off the characters. Betty White can be returned to be the mom. I think they can have the same dynamic that they had in the Golden Girls. Sorry that my characters are dead. I don't think that knocks it. Your characters you couldn't name offhand. Again, in this technology, I think there's other shows out there that have a family dynamic that are funny and good, but I don't think that you get that from Small Wonder. I think that's a creepy element of... She comes out of it into a suitcase. You build it. You wanted just to create a ripoff of the mom and son, the mom and daughter relationship, the son creating a daughter. That's even creepier for me. I don't think that works. Your cast list has no star-studded people to bring back. So if I said, hey, guess who's returning to Small Wonder? You couldn't name them. So that doesn't help your case in that matter. I'm telling you right now, Golden Girls is a cutting-edge comedy that could work in 2019 and tackle real issues that you didn't see in the 80s because it was too taboo. And I think it would work perfectly.
And just on time.
It's like I've done this before.
Well, that was a very heated debate there. I'm sorry, Doug, but I'm going to go to you first. Who do you have in this question?
You would go to me first. All right, so we have Golden Girls versus Small Wonders. I'm reviewing my sheet board right here that I took notes on. Richard, unfortunately, Cody kind of combated a lot of the things that you dinged him for. And you wanted to focus a lot on the fact that what he was fighting for wasn't a revival, when in fact it is a revival. I won't influence the rest of the judges by stating shows that are revivals that are like that. But we accepted it, so it's something that you had to fight for. You had a hard time fighting off the fact that he kept hitting you with, it's a creepy show. It's an unrememberable cast. It's not funny, and it's stranger danger. That was my favorite line that Cody said for the whole thing. It was stranger danger. So yeah, Cody's getting my point.
Yeah, I'll go next on this. It's one of those ones with the term revival. You can be used many different ways, because I do consider reboots as a revival as well, because there was that Knight Rider revival in which David Hasselhoff came back as Knight and was more about the sun. But that being said, I think Cody had a lot of good points there. I think, and he's getting my point easily on this one, because him saying that the car, with Betty White, she's a known person that you can bring back, and most people go, oh, Betty White and Gold Girls is a known show. Small Wonders, I think it was a risk, and I would have loved to see you fight harder for it, but it's one of those ones, you bring it back, some people might not know what the show is because they may not have heard of it before. So yeah, it was still a good battle either way. So Cody is going to go into this one up a point. The second question we have with Batwoman coming to screens in October. I thought, where's the fun question? We'll find out who the competitors think should play Batman, if they should ever introduce him, even though I don't really think they will, but as a good sort of thing. And I'm going to go to Richard first on this. Richard, you've got a minute and a half on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
So the character of Batman was, when it comes to CW, it's going to be a cameo if that. It's going to be maybe he'll appear once or twice every other season. So I chose someone who is familiar with the CW, familiar with where they shoot and how things are done. I chose Ian Somerhalder, who played Damien Salvatore on The Vampire Diaries. He is very charismatic. He has the personality. He has the personification that it needs to take to him to play Bruce Wayne / Batman. And I will continue talk to more about him when we get to the fighting.
Yeah, and Cody, minute and a half is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
I swear, this was not planned. But I went with Paul Wesley from Vampire Diaries as well. Listen. The one thing you need about Bruce Wayne is he's kind of a pretty boy. He kind of is. It's just how you get. So I have to go with Paul Wesley, because for the simple fact is he could play both sides. And he played a vampire in Vampire Diaries. The new Batman is going to be played by a vampire, but a pretty vampire named Robert Pattinson. Paul Wesley is a B-list Robert Pattinson, which means he would be the perfect choice, because it would be the closest continuity to there. You need a pale boy underneath the cowl, and you're like, oh, is that him? I don't know. He's under this cowl. I don't know. And he knows where they shoot too. And he looks less of a little Tasmanian devil, but I'll talk about that later. So, yeah, let's go with that.
Right, so we've got the Vampire Diaries Civil War.
Apparently.
You've got 5 minutes on the clock. Time begins when someone starts talking.
You want to go with me?
Okay.
You talk.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go. Look, you saying that, you got Paul Wesley played a vampire. So did my guy. He also played a vampire. The difference is, I do agree, Bruce Wayne needs to have, the pretty boy. He needs to be a playboy to some sort. He also needs to have the darkness for which he is played as Batman. Paul Wesley, as much as he is good, he's not that really too much of a playboy when it came to the Vampire Diaries. He tried to do the flirtatious. It didn't come off as flirtatious. And every time, he always comes off with a sad puppy dog face in the Vampire Diaries. And that was his look. Whereas Ian Somerhalder can play the tormented soul that Bruce Wayne / Batman goes through. He can play the billionaire playboy. He looks like he's a billionaire playboy. And he also did a fantastic job when he was on Lost, too. So he has the versatility. He has... I'll let you.
Okay. Yeah, so I have to stop you there. You picked the Wolverine. You picked Bane. You picked a side character. This man's a little angry little Tasmanian devil. He's not Batman. He's too angry. He literally played one of the main... I wouldn't say villain because he was the Salvador brother, but he was pretty much a villain in Vampire Diaries. He's too angry. He's also pretty short, and I think that's a common misconception that the person that plays Batman has to have that mean side. The cowl does that for you, basically, and I think that he could act along with it. I don't believe that you have to have this menacing persona because Christian Bale put on the cowl and did just fine. So I think Paul Wesley would be a perfect choice for it because he can play the man in the suit, in the actual dress suit, and then into the Batman suit. I think that would be a perfect side. He would be back and forth. And I don't know how much you're going to see of this character. I don't know about it. But CW likes to go with the little puppy dog boys. You've got to have that, like, love affair. I think that I would rather see your character as a Bane in that show than as Batman because he doesn't seem like he would stand alone as Batman.
Even when Ian was the villain in Vampire Diaries, he wasn't really the villain. He was the villain that you kind of had sympathy for. You understood his endearment when it came to Steven Salvatore. They were in love with the same woman, and ultimately the woman chose Steven Salvatore. And part of jealousy, part of his brother. And when as the season grew, he grew as a character. Whereas Paul Wesley, he just comes off as a sad puppy boy face, Vampire Diaries, all the time. And it's also... He may play an okay Bruce Wayne, but he would be a terrible Batman. He doesn't have that striking fear that Batman needs to have when he comes. He's the Dark Knight. He's the one that causes fear in Gotham City, and that's what Ian Somerhalder, I always mispronounce his last name. I apologize. Can you?
It's going to be bad on the marquee when you can't say his name. But my only viewpoint is that you're literally saying that he can't be the puppy dog. Who plays a perfect puppy dog? A man that saw his parents killed in the street. Batman has a sad side. Batman has an emotional side, and I think Paul Wesley has it. You do not feel for
that
Ian
was him
all.
as a child. If you want Paul Wesley,
okay. You talked.
My bad.
And Ian literally ripped people like citizens in Vampire Diaries. You don't feel bad for him. He went into a rage and started killing folks. You don't feel bad. That's why I want to see him as a villain because he could play the perfect villain to this Batman. But you don't pick the villain to play Batman. And I'm sorry, I'm totally against this. That just because he's a pretty boy doesn't mean we're literally putting Robert Pattinson in the cow. So don't tell me Paul Wesley couldn't do it because he plays the pretty boy. That's what Robert Pattinson does. Ian would be better in a Marvel show playing Wolverine than he would ever touch the cow as Batman.
Again, another thing I'm attacked for you, Paul Wesley. He doesn't look anything like Ruby Rose. They are cousins. They have to have some similarities, some resemblance. Ian Somerhalder and Ruby Rose, they have great chemistry. They look very similar, and you can believe that they are family. Whereas Paul Wesley, you can't really look too much as, you know, you can maybe see it, but not. But at the same time, Paul Wesley's not that tall of himself. Ian is taller than Paul.
Are we really going to the world that in acting that they have to be perfect cousins?
You just said that Ian was not tall enough to play Bruce Wayne Batman.
I'm not talking about tall. I'm not talking about tall. You said they're cousins.
And also,
but guess what? Hollywood has never casted people perfectly to the sibling relationship. So that's a dumb argument all around.
And also, you saying that he was a kid. Like, yes, Bruce Wayne as a kid was very sad, puppy dog. If you want Paul Wesley to be Bruce Wayne as a kid, go for it. But Bruce Wayne, as he grew as an adult, he wasn't the sad puppy dog face. He did have that inner darkness, which Ian does have.
Which he showed rage when when Ian stole the girl from him. He showed the rage, so he went from emotional to angry. He shows the balance between them. I'm sorry.
Well, that was definitely a interesting battle. Because Richard opened off. We're going to go to Cody first on the closings. 1 minute is going to be on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
The only two hits that my opponent has said is that he's a puppy dog and he doesn't look like Ruby Rose. I'm sorry, but the fact of the matter is the cow makes the man, and I think the cow would make Paul Wesley a perfect character. Again, this is CW, not going to get a perfect casting that fits to Ruby Rose the way you would want, but I'm saying they would work well because the probably time you're going to see him, he's going to be in the cow, and I trust that Paul Wesley will be able to pull it. He shows the emotional depths of being sad and being vengeful and angry. Only thing that you see in Ian is anger throughout the entire thing. He plays a perfect side character. He plays a perfect villain, but I'm sorry that he will never be able to put on the cow, because if they ever go to the transition of where he is Bruce Wayne, he would not sell it off well because he is too broad, too angry, too mad of a person. You just see it in his face. That's why I just don't see him ever playing Batman as a correct way. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, it's all right. My timer didn't want to stop. But Richard, you got 1 minute on the clock. Time will begin when you start talking.
The only main argument my opponent has attacked my character is the fact that he's too angry, that he was only portrayed as a villain. In the show, like I've said, he has grown. He has shown love in Vampire Diaries. You have seen that, the love. In the series finale of Vampire Diaries, you saw the heartwarming reunion when Steven and Damien embraced towards the end, when they both passed on. You said CW, my opponent said CW does intend to do perfect casting. Well, because they haven't found actors to do perfect casting with Ian Somerhalder. He has the perfect casting with Ruby Rose. Paul Wesley, again, he's a fine actor, but again, you need a Bruce Wayne and Batman who can be a good Bruce Wayne, who has the dark demented soul, and who can pull it off. Paul Wesley cannot pull it off. He just always comes off as just a sad little puppy. Again, I'll say it again. When you think of also, if you put him in the Batman suit, put Ian in the Batman suit, it is clear that Ian Somerhalder would be the better Batman over Paul Wesley.
So that's definitely a battle. I'm going to go over to someone who claims to be the #1 expert on Batman. Ryan, who are you going to give your point to and why?
#1 expert on the Dark Knight. I don't know. I mean, that's a high honor there. Thank you. Should straighten up my suit for that one. Anyway, according to the question at hand, who gave the better argument? Who made the better points? Both actors would be interesting in this role. Would love to see their take on it, but at the end of the day, I feel like Cody presented the better argument for why his actor should play the role slightly over Richard. Richard did put up a good fight, but at the end of the day, Cody came out on top in this one, so my point is going to go to Cody.
Yeah, my point's also going to go to Cody on this one, because one thing Cody does that I like is he'll throw the haymaker that the opponent may not seem to recover from. Is when Richard sort of said that he doesn't see John. I've forgotten the name, but that guy as Batman. Cody countered by saying, "Well, it doesn't matter on who's under the cowl. It's the cowl itself that strikes the fear into the villains." And I don't think Richard truly recovered from that. So that's kind of like Cody will get my point. This question is a must get for you, Richard. And it's a fun one. With so many shows getting spin-offs these days, I thought it'll be interesting to see what character from The Simpsons these people should think should get a spin-off. And I'm going to go to Cody first. To open, we've got 90 seconds on the clock. Time will begin when you start talking.
If I could ever have thrown out a question, it'd probably be this one, because I hate The Simpsons with a passion. But this is debate, so let's see if I can pull off a miracle here and win this one. Okay, I'm going with Mo. Let's go with Mo. Okay, I'm telling you, Mo is a bartender, and one of the best things in sitcoms and comedies in general is people working a bar. If you've ever worked a bar or been in a restaurant with a bar, the most interesting characters that walk in are people that just sit at your bar the entire time of the restaurant. The amount of characters and interwoven characters from the overall Fox animated universe that could show up, and like you could show Mo going home and having to deal with like his apartment life and his sad living that he angrily hates people, and like Bart randomly calling him. I want to see that in the worst way, because the 20-second segments of Mo is not enough in this show. The problem, well, I won't touch on his because that's against the rules, so I won't do that rude thing. But I'm telling you right now, Mo dealing with crazy, like, drunk men yelling at him and him just cussing him out and throwing him out of his bar would be fantastic. Him getting... There's so many things they can go, and you never have to, like, feature, like, Homer or Lisa or anything. Just a random phone call from Bart would be the only thing I would ever need from actual Simpson characters, because I think Mo is so complex that you could have such an interesting dynamic throughout the show.
Now, Richard, you've got 90 seconds on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
I chose a very infamous Simpsons character who's been on the show almost since the very beginning. I chose Ned Flanders. Ned Flanders is the neighbor of Homer Simpson. He's typically the straight character. He's very religious, very nice, always puts Homer on his nerves. I think it would be great for him to get his own show, put him in a situation where maybe he is becoming a teacher at like the projects or a beat up city somewhere else. And it'll be so funny keeping that Ned personality with all these other new and interesting, like, hard knock characters, and see how Ned Flanders and his kids survive in a world. And I will yield the rest of my time, and I look forward to this fight.
So, you've got 5 minutes on the clock. Time will begin when you start talking.
Okay, I'm going to go first. Ned Flanders is the neighbor of Homer Simpson. So don't want that, because he lives right next door to Homer, and there's just going to be overlapping stuff with him. Like, he has to move, in the best parts of when Ned Flanders is episodes that feature Homer or one of the Simpsons characters. Even the Ned Flanders focused episodes feature around Homer or Marge. It's never him by himself. Mo could literally go to any area and be the bartender and have a fantastic life without him. He could move away from Springfield and introduce characters from other Fox animated, even just general new characters. I think that would be the most interesting thing. Have him fall in love and like think he's in love with a girl, and a girl actually like, I don't really love you that much, and like him get angry and scream. And he's a depressing but funny and laughable character throughout the whole thing. I think that is an interesting thing of Mo that you don't get in any of the Simpsons characters. So I would want, yeah, go ahead.
You attacked me for Small Wonder because you said the show is creepy, and you allow Mo. There was an episode where Mo was stalking Maude. He had to put himself on the sex offender registry, and he also has a restraining order from Maude Flanders. So you want to talk about, no one would want to do a spin-off show of a character who's been on the sex offender registry, especially in this modern day, and the stalking. And also, you're taking Mo out of Springfield. You're taking one of Homer's person he talked to. He's basically his priest, in a sense, where the majority of the decisions is at Mo's Tavern talking to Mo, whereas Ned Flanders, it's so fun if keeping Ned Flanders' personality in check, put him in a neighborhood where it's like a toughest neighborhood, like the Bronx or Harlem or somewhere in Compton. Just like having to evolve that situation, having those characters and keeping that Ned would be the most interesting and funny show of all time, and also having Rod and Todd there.
I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But my viewpoint is where you literally told me that you said yes, he's on the sexual offender. So like, welcome to the flippin' Simpsons. I'm sorry, in all the Seth MacFarlane shows, no one is by the book. We're not talking about Small Wonder. That's a good callback, but that doesn't work on this fight. My only viewpoint is a Ned Flanders-based show is the most boring thing I've ever seen. Unless he goes around home to home knocking people and tells them the love of Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, it's not going to work that well, because it's going to get played over. Like, he doesn't have anything like interesting or angry. He's the conscious, the nice person that goes along with him. Yes, you'll see bad things happen to him, but that's better in a skit, not a 30-minute episode. I would get
Mo is just, if you're going to call out the boringness of Ned Flanders, Mo is just as boring. He's always the sad, depressed character all the effing time. And there have been episodes where Ned Flanders has revealed that he wasn't always that yippity-doo super Christian dude. And that'd be great to explore in these episodes where you bring back people from Ned's past where it might change him for that episode. It'd be interactions. Again, you're just putting Bo bar to bar. Mo's just basically the same character. He's a depressed person. He tried to kill himself a couple of times.
Oh, so people that struggle with suicide are okay.
No
to put in the
one
show?
would want to,
Incorrect, sir.
especially
That's my viewpoint.
with all the sexual harassment that's going on in today's world. No one will support a show, especially if
Gosh.
someone's on the sex offender registry. And you claim it doesn't work for a small wonder for this show? Yes, it does.
Oh my god!
Because Simpsons have influenced a
Yes.
lot in
Please
the
tell
freaking
me
modern
all-
day
Please
society.
tell me all the Simpson characters that have played by the books and they've been on for 20 years. Literally half the things they could have been on the sexual offenders list, they wrote the book. Bart pees outside every chance you get a second. He should be on the sexual offenders list. He's 45 at this point. He can't pull his wee-wee out in places. Listen, I'm telling you right now, your biggest problem is that you're picking Flanders, which is a 20-minute thing. His phone calls with Bart is hilarious. If he has like actual buddies that he goes and plays cards with, he'll be the funniest character. You can introduce the little characters to have spin-offs and have a blast. I don't care that he's on the sexual offenders list. That makes it even funnier. Now I have to send him to court. Now I have to send him around the new neighborhood he lives in and tell people, listen, I made a mistake one time. I thought this girl was really pretty. I didn't know boundaries, and now I know boundaries. Here's some cookies. You probably won't accept them. And that's a full 20-minute episode. There's the pilot. Hilarious. We're off and running. Because you can't tell me anything on Fox Animated.
Mo is just one-dimensional. He is just always depressed. And Bart, that whole phone call is the one gimmick Mo ever has. And this again,
Correct.
you're gonna take Mo out of The Simpsons. You're gonna take one of Homer's biggest conscience out of the show. Another thing for a spinoff is it's supposed to improve their show, without hurting the original show. You take Mo out of The Simpsons, you're going to hurt the show because the majority of Homer's decisions happened with his conversations with Mo and in Mo's tavern. You can make all your goofy faces you want, all you want. It doesn't mean you are right.
I don't know where you come up with the concept.
And
of
also,
question.
you're saying that
Because
Ned
if you
Flanders
take
is
the
too
name-
bland and boring. Jerry from Rick and Morty is just a straight character as well, and he is hysterical in Rick and Morty. So definitely a show with Ned Flanders can definitely work.
Oh, thank God! I was about to I hit it all in my closing. Oh.
Right, because Cody opened it up. Richard, you got 1 minute on the clock for your closing. And reminder to both competitors, you do have a minute extension should you want to use it for your closings. So time will begin when you start talking, Richard.
Ned Flanders having his own show in a tough neighborhood would be the most fantastic show. Having the straight character with all these hysterical new characters would be one of the most entertaining shows. Rick and Morty is a great example. With Jerry. Jerry's always a funny character in that surroundings. Mo is just basically one-dimensional. He's always depressed. He's always sad. And my opponent attacked me with the whole small owner being creepy and juvenile. I don't care if it's a cartoon or not, especially with these days with all the sexual harassment and rapes going on. Having someone have his own show who's an actual sexual offender, stalker, and creep will not necessarily become funny. And especially with Fox will not do that type of show. With those for a full 30-something episodes. Whereas Ned Flanders, you can get more into the dynamics with Ned Flanders, his family, his background, his new future, and I think that would be more fascinating show than just a bartender. If you want a bartender show, go watch Cheers.
All right, Cody, you've got 1 minute.
I want my minute extension. Let's go.
All right.
Going for the KO. Here we go.
Right, Cody, you've got 2 minutes on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
I'm going to tackle one thing real quick. You're telling me that Fox won't put a show out with a sexual offender? Hello, his name is Quagmire, and he's been on Family Guy for a long time, and he literally watches and takes pictures of people in the bathroom. So please don't tell me a whole show wouldn't work about Mo. Mo itself, you say, is one-dimensional. Your guy is one-dimensional, too, because he's a Christian guy. You're also saying that you make up points of the question that don't really matter, but I'm going to hit it because I think it actually hurts you. You literally said you take Mo out of the thing, and it ruins The Simpsons. You take Homer's neighbor out of the show and it hurts him because there's no balance anymore. He's on the sexual offenders list, and that's bad for everybody because apparently, by the way, being on the sexual offenders list does not mean you're a rapist, and I think we need to make that point very clear, just to let you know. Also, my viewpoint is Mo going to be at a bar, being the bartender and dealing with characters that he could actually have returning characters. One of the best shows out there was Cheers. And I think you could have a great spinoff with Mo being the main bartender, of having characters like the Cheers characters, not just Cheers characters animated, but like characters like that coming in, interwoven with Mo, having that interaction, and characters like, Brian, Stewie, stuff like that showing up at random times would just be funny callbacks, but you don't have to focus on what those characters are. Mo is a complex character. You're saying that he's only one-dimensional, but he's literally talked about suicide and how he needs love and stuff like that. And I think that's a complex character that you need in today's TV, the people that struggle with it. So I think overall that your character, Ned Flanders, you want to put him in a tough neighborhood. I'm sorry, he's going to get killed. He's gonna knock on the wrong criminal's door and gonna take him out. If you want to talk about a hard neighborhood, I'm sorry, it just doesn't work for me. Ned Flanders deserves to be next to Homer. Mo deserves his own show. Time.
That's definitely a interesting debate there. And I'm not going to lie. When they picked the characters, and they picked Mo and Ned, I was wondering to see where they're going to come with it in the first place. I was disappointed no one picked Sideshow Bob, but but in saying that, Cody does get my point on this one. Richard did paint an interesting picture about Ned, but I think Cody managed to take that down quite quickly as well. I think because he pointed out that with Ned being Christian and that putting him in a hard neighborhood like Compton and stuff like that could get him killed, and it could get really interesting. And without not really watching The Simpsons, Cody managed to paint a great picture of what a Mo series would look like. So that's why my point's going to go to Cody. Doug, who are you going to get your point and why?
All right, so we got Ned and we got Mo here. So I like the picture that Richard was painting at first, until Cody started to break it down. Keeping the closings out of it. Let's keep the closings out of it. Let's keep the debates out. Let's go just off the debates. Cody painted a picture using Richard's argument of what would make a funny ass pilot. Him going around just saying to people, yeah, I'm on a sex offenders list. Here's some cookies, even though you won't eat it. That is probably, all right, Cody, you tapped yourself. That is my favorite line you've ever said in the debate. He hits you too much that something that you didn't combat was the best episodes that Ned Flanders has ever been a part of have been episodes that are centered, focused around The Simpsons. And that's one point that you didn't bite back on a lot of. Whereas in Mo, you've seen Mo-centric episodes that were by themselves. Yeah,
you didn't bring that up though. No, yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cody. Cody's got the point.
And with that, Cody does get the win in this. But anyway, I'm going to go to our second place finisher. Richard, how do you feel about how the match went? And are you looking to come back?
Oh, I'm absolutely looking forward to come back. Dude, Cody's one of the best, if not the best, debater in any league right now. Half the time I'm listening to Cody, I want to change my answer to whoever his was. He's that good of a debater. I did my best. He played a phenomenal job. I really thought I got him with the Mo thing. But, he did come back and turn it around. I wish Cody nothing but the best. I just got to learn to be able to... just talk as much as I always have the good ideas in my head. It just needs to come out verbally half the time. I just got to learn to work on that, but I would definitely love to come back. And if it's anyone not Cody, I'm going to kick their asses. Everyone but Cody. So congrats, Cody. I'll be ready for you in the rest of the tournament.
But yeah, Cody, how do you feel about your victory here today?
That Mo debate, I've debated a lot. That's probably my favorite debate I've ever done. I always try to construct a comeback, and to be able to pitch a pilot off that, I will. Really, I have to give a shout out to Brooklyn Vale because I don't know Simpsons very well. He didn't help me with pick or how to debate, but he gave me a simple blurb and I was just able to construct it and make it as something, and I ran with it and I did it. Again, debating's my thing. I think it's kind of known now. But I wouldn't give anything past Richard. I think Richard's a very good debater. Like I've debated a lot of people, and Richard has the ability to turn it to make himself a really good one. It's just not getting fuzzled and not giving. No, it's pretty much he drops his hands at a point, and that just allows me to hit the punch. Like if he just did a little bit better at blocking, he would be a lot better fighter. But he like throws a haymaker really hard and he misses. But he leaves it completely open. I can hit. But it's nothing against him. If I didn't win this one, there was not a chance in hell I would lose the last one. I promise you that. But it's a lot of fun. TV, I like TV. I like TV a lot. But there's some stuff I don't know and some stuff I do. TV's so broad. So I'm excited to see what happens the rest of this tournament. Again, I prep like nobody else. So what's going on? I
believe we know who your next opponent is in your next matchup. Is that right, Malcolm? Is that true?
Well, we do. I think Subev just jumped the gun in that chat.
A little bit, yeah.
Your next opponent is Matthew Kurds.
Listen here, Mr. Matthew Kurds. I have beat you in late night numerous times, and I will beat you in this playground. Okay? It's going to be Star Trek and timeless questions. I hope not. If not, I'm calling bullshit on Malcolm, and we're going to get rewritten questions. That's all I'm going to say. But no, I'm really excited to play. I think this is going to be a blast. Richard, hats off to you. I can't wait to see you back. I think you'll win your next match, whoever you play. I think you have the ability. But bring on Matt Kearns, because if it takes me to beat Matt Kearns to get Jay Burns, I want that match today. So let it happen.
Yeah, that should be a pay-per-view matchup.
But yeah, so that brings us to the end of another debate. Before we go, I'm going to see what our judges figured for the match. Doug, what did you think of the match today?
Richard played his heart out. Cody just kind of was one step ahead. That Simpsons question will go down as my favorite debate just because of the pitch. It's so good. I'm excited to see where the rest of this tournament goes. I'm excited to see the rest of everything. So, yeah.
And Ryan, what did you think of the match today?
Yeah, it was a really good match. Both competitors did a really good job. I foresee good things coming for Richard somewhere down the line. But Cody, I mean, guy's a beast. He's been a beast from day one. So congratulations to Cody. He's going to march on and just keep kicking tail and taking names in this business, in this industry. So we'll see where it goes from there. Other than that, this is a good judges panel with some fascinating and somewhat crazy, weird, out-of-the-box questions. But it was a fun match nonetheless. It was a good episode of this new division we got going on here. Look forward to seeing where it goes down the line. Back to you in the studio.
But yeah, and with that brings us to the end of another debate. So for Doug, for Cody, for Richard, for Ryan, and for myself, stay tuned to the rest of the tournament and don't change the channel.